Hi, my name is Laurel Payne, and I will be presenting on the Cuban Revolution. I will show you the 6 stages of the revolution and what happened leading into the revolution and after the revolution. Batista, former president and military leader, seized power in 1952 when he realized he would not be re-elected for president. He overthrew the government and closed Congress. These moves angered many citizens, but especially Fidel Castro, a young lawyer who likely would have won a seat in Congress from the elections. Castro accused Batista of tyranny and corruption. Batista, acting as president and dictator over Cuba, became very corrupt and acted very oppressive. He allowed American companies to buy up most of Cuba's natural resources, which did not help their already struggling economy. The country became a haven for organized crime. These disruptions to the society showed the citizens the weaknesses Batista had as dictator. July 26th of 1953, 138 men, including Castro, attacked the Moncada barracks at dawn in hopes to obtain more weapons. Although the attack was unsuccessful, it turned into a movement against Batista called the 26th of July movement. The attack was a declaration to overthrow Batista, and although captured, when Castro went to trial, it was public, and it helped turn public opinion towards Castro and against Batista. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but was released after only 2. His early release was due to the fact that Batista was facing international pressure for reforms. Castro fled to Mexico. Fidel Castro, Raul Castro, his brother, and Che, an Argentina revolutionary, and a few others returned from Mexico. Upon arrival, they were attacked by the expecting Cuban soldiers. A few were able to survive and hid in the jungle. In the jungle, they were able to regain themselves and attract new rebels to help them with their movement. This was the spark that set off the rest of the revolution. Increasing unemployment and more anti-Batista riots came about during the fall of the government. There were many sporadic raids, which include burning of fields and destruction of property. In 1957, Batista suspended constitutional guarantees. Government soldiers would switch sides during battles when they didn't think they would come out victorious. This helped the rebels gain more and more soldiers and weapons and ammunition needed to win many important battles and help the fall of the government. Batista responded by becoming more oppressive and using brutal methods to control cities. The more oppressive Batista became to try and control the citizens, the less control he was able to maintain. December 31st, 1958, Batista fled Cuba for the Dominican Republic. Castro was able to march his men into Havana, but first stopping in each and every city to make speeches. He was heavily welcomed in every city. Upon arrival in Havana, he made a speech for the city. During his speech, white doves landed on his shoulders. The white doves were religious symbols to many Cubans and represented the peace that Castro should bring to their country. Fidel Castro and Che combined their power for Cuba. Fidel Castro became the Prime Minister of Cuba. Raul and Che set out to wipe out the remnants of Batista and take old Batista supporters and put them up for trial. At first, Fidel Castro called Cuba a nationalist society, but he later switched to communist. With Cuba becoming a socialist nation, they were quick to form alliances with the Soviet Union. Fidel Castro nationalized U.S. companies, and this angered many Americans, so economic sanctions were placed on Cuba from America. With Cuba as a socialist nation, literacy rates, education, and healthcare all improved. But quickly, Fidel Castro became more and more oppressive and postponed elections indefinitely, although he promised fair and equal elections. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the Cuban Revolution.